Hello. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that I like to say everything new is well forgotten old. Today's topic is SARS-CoV, but not SARS-CoV-2. So let's get right to it. Alright, so we have here a paper from Journal of Virological Methods from back in 2004. I stumbled across it, thought I'd read it. It's not that fascinating of a paper, besides a couple of interesting things it points out. So this is inactivation of the coronavirus that induces severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV. And this is by the US Food and Drug Administration and National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the NIH. In this paper, the authors discuss various methods to inactivate virus so they can transfer it from BSL-3, Biosafety Level 3 facility, which works with dangerous and very crazy things, to Biosafety Level 2. And they are looking at ultraviolet in different bands, UVA, B, C, I believe, heat treatment, alkaline and acidic pHs, formalin, and glutaraldehyde treatments to inactivate the virus so they can work with it in a lower biosafety level facility. So let's get right to it. In late 2002, an outbreak of unusual life-threatening respiratory disease of unknown etiology began in Guangdong province, China. That's 2002. Anyway, didn't we just have the same thing? This disease was designated the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, SARS, and was later determined by Drosten and co-authors and others to be caused by a novel coronavirus termed SARS-CoV. Rings a bell, doesn't it? Anyway, okay, I'm done. According to the WHO, almost 10,000 people were diagnosed with SARS, and close to 1,000 of them died during the initial outbreak in 2003. Thus, WHO recommends biosafety level 3 as the appropriate containment level for working with live SARS-CoV virus. And there is a concern that another SARS outbreak could occur following an accidental exposure in a laboratory. This is a sad laugh, by the way, just so you know. Now listen to this. You reading this with me? Since the end of the SARS epidemic in July 2003, there have been 3 known cases of SARS in laboratory researchers due to accidental exposure to the virus. Here's a reference. I did not check the reference. It might be fake news, but this is peer-reviewed scientific journal published by guys from the NIH, or I'm sorry, US FDA and the NIH. It's got to be legit, at least to some extent. So there have been outbreaks in SARS in lab researchers due to accidental exposure. No comment. The rest of the paper, you can probably skip to the end of this video or just stop watching altogether. It just talks about how the virus is inactivated, which is pretty nifty. It's actually pretty tough to kill in certain cases. But anyway, let's take a look. So they work with some monkey kidney cells to test the virus. For UV treatment, they use 254 nanometer UVC, which is probably mercury, and they compare it with a UVA light source, 365 nanometer. That's the stuff you buy on Amazon for like $10, those cheap LEDs. They're around this wavelength. Doesn't do anything, just so you know. Anyway, all UVs are different. You have to really look into the details of what is the wavelength of light that you're using. They also used 3 different temperatures, 55, 65, and 75 Celsius. So kind of hot water, pretty darn hot water, and very hot water, but still 75, boiling water is 100. So this is like very hot tea, not that hot. They also used very low concentrations, 1 to 1,000 dilution, of formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. And acidic pH they created using hydrochloric acid or sodium hydroxide. Comparing UVA and UVC, look, even after 15 minutes, there is pretty much no inactivation by the ultraviolet of the virus. Whereas with UVC, with a 254 nanometer mercury lamp, they get almost complete kill in about 6-7 minutes of treatment, like direct exposure, a few centimeters away. This is a tough guy. With gamma radiation at 5, 10, 15 kilorad, and 10 kilorad is 100 gray, and it's a very big dose. I believe somewhere around 10 is enough to kill an adult, or thereabouts, but 100 sounds like a lot, and looks like this virus survived this treatment in these conditions quite well. Okay, but you know, UV works. 56, 65, and 75 all kill the virus the same. In 15 minutes, everything's dead. What's interesting to me is 56 is like temperature of, hot water in your sink. So wash your hands with hot water and soap? Cool. Good to know. Good to know. And just my layman judgment, if 56, 65, 75 killed about the same, so just hot water should do the trick in 15 minutes though. So you have to wash your hands thoroughly. Anyway, so that works, and of course there is actual data, and I will leave the link to this paper in the description down below. Please take a look for yourself. I'm just sharing my findings with you. Now, the authors claim that neither formalin diluted or diluted glutaraldehyde did anything to this virus, even after exposure for 3 days, keeping it in the fridge. Keeping it at room temperature, 25 to 37. Formalin inactivated most, highly scientific term, most of the virus close to the limit of detection after 1 day, yet some virus still remained infectious on day 3. So formalin and glutaraldehyde don't work. I mean, this is 2004. Where's bleach? Isn't that what we're using these days? Whatever. It's just interesting. This guy survives pretty good. pH seems to lower than 3, seems to inactivate it quite well, and over 10. Well, good to know. So acids and bases inactivate the virus quite rapidly. Good. In discussion, authors mention that inactivation of SARS-CoV virus can be achieved through a number of techniques given sufficient time and appropriate temperature conditions. Well, good. It's good to know that when you're looking at stored, like if we're inactivating apples, we have to look not just at room temperature inactivation, but also inactivation at storage and transportation conditions. Good to note for future. Here's a gem, a diamond. Due to the grave consequences of a potential SARS-CoV human infection, great care should be taken to ensure that any inactivation procedures used to make the virus safe for BSL-2 conditions are effective for each viral stack. Write that down, print it, and put it on top of your monitor. Guys in microbiology, be careful, please, and virology. You're working with things that kill. Authors summarize, stating that their experiments showed that UV, heat, formalin, glutaraldehyde, and extremes of pH were able to inactivate SARS-CoV-2. However, gamma radiation at the doses tested was not sufficient to inactivate the virus. Their culture, in their setup, and they're trying to inactivate it to move it to a BSL-2 facility so they can further study it. Understanding the ways in which SARS-CoV can be inactivated will allow the transfer of the virus from BSL-3 to BSL-2 conditions and will promote the study of inactivated viral vaccines. Great work, and thanks for a warning. There is a concern that another SARS outbreak could occur. Please be careful. Read safety data sheets. Make sure that all experimental procedures are followed correctly. And let's prevent SARS-CoV-3, because this one still sucks. Well, anyway, guys, wear masks. We're in the grocery store. Get your butt vaccinated. My wife and I, we're on booster shots, so we're triple crown. Please, let's get this country moving. Let's get out of this thing. And I'll see you guys at a football game one of these days. Take care.